So-Called is sponsored by LoveBoiseParks.org, which donates profits to support, promote, and preserve open spaces in Boise, Idaho. Use promo code SOCALLED for 10% off all your purchases at LoveBoiseParks.org.
Lean into being uncomfortable. If you're too comfortable, I think that there's sometimes at this age, especially right after college, that there's some other things that you should be learning if you're that comfortable.
This is Mark Wojcik, and I'm wondering, how's your so-called career? Welcome to So-Called, the podcast that explores the why and how of work. On today's episode, we meet Madison Warner, Leadership Development Manager at the Boise Metro Chamber of Commerce. When we met, I asked Madison to describe what she does in that role.
So that means that I get to work with the community members involved with Leadership Boise and Boise Young Professionals, which are two awesome programs that have quite a number of years in their history here at the Chamber. So it's really cool learning experience every day.
Great. Well, so tell me a little bit about what that is day to day then. You mentioned Leadership Boise and Boise Young Professionals. So what do you do in your role with those groups?
So Boise Young Professionals is focused on young professionals and offering them multiple events and programs per week, per month, annually, that they can really dive in and meet fellow young professionals in different careers. Also have the opportunity to be mentored by different community members, maybe if they're past the young professional phase. So it's really just an opportunity for people, not only after college, but you do find a lot of graduates that join that, have lost a sense of community, and it's hard to find when you start a job, and it's either the people at work or the few friends that you made in college. So this is a great way to do new things and have an opportunity to sign up for stuff that maybe you wouldn't do alone, and hopefully meet new people that are going through the same process as you.
Sure.
And then Leadership Boise is a 2-year program for a little bit more seasoned professionals in their careers, and gives them an opportunity in their first year to attend monthly sessions focused on a topic. So education or infrastructure, government, business. And during that day, they really do get an opportunity to hear from multiple speakers and learn what the most current events are here in Boise and how it's growing in each of those categories. And then during their second year, they go back and they plan those sessions for the first years that are new to the program. So it's kind of an ever-growing program, and both Boise Young Professionals and Leadership Boise kind of feed into one another in a lot of ways. You see a lot of the same speakers and topics and interests from participants. So my days are full of coordinating and trying to make people happy and feel like they're involved in their community.
Great. Well, those sound like great programs, and those being very rewarding and fulfilling. What do you like about your role?
My role. So I have jumped in very quickly. I turned 26 here in October. I graduated about 4 years ago in early from Boise State. And really, I feel like I'm absorbing information. I'm just a sponge all the time to people who have similar career paths, different career paths. I get to engage with not only the professional side of people, but the personal side, and then learn who they are and what they like, and then how that works when they go and do their job in the community, and what their goals are. So I'm definitely a people person, and these programs feed that need that I have, and just as a daily reminder that there's good people around us everywhere doing good things. So that's
Great.
kind of what I love about it.
Yeah. Now, what about, are there things that are harder or more difficult to do in your job?
I think at times there's mental blocks that I think more than anything I put up for myself, especially when it comes to age. It's gotten over the 2 years I've been at the chamber a little bit better, but there was definitely meetings in that first year where there's just a lot of stuff you don't learn in college. There's just a lot of details and know-hows, and you ever learn those, and all of a sudden you walk into a community that's how things run, and you're not quite sure, and there's nobody teaching. There's not a professor you can turn to. So people are very kind, and you learn a lot really fast just by watching and, doing. So I think that there's times where I wish I was further along in that path of just knowing and having to tell myself, okay, it's a process. It's always a process.
Well, and you mentioned being kind of a sponge on soaking up all of the knowledge before. So yeah, I mean, it is fun to learn, but it can be hard.
And that's kind of, more than anything, sometimes I just want to ask people, like, when did you learn this? How did you learn this? And who taught you? Are you just that smart that it comes naturally? Because I just think you forget sometimes people do put in a lot of work behind closed doors, and you don't always see that.
So what was your path? Like, where did your career start, and then how did you get where you are today?
So I graduated from Boise State in December 2016. And then actually soon after during my graduation process, I knew that I wanted to travel. So I found a family to nanny with. It's called au pairing. And I left about 5 months after I graduated, after saving up some money, and went and spent the summer with a family in Germany and nannied for them, and had an awesome experience, and cured that travel bug for just a little bit. Then I came back, and I actually had a friend when I was over there offer me an opportunity just as an assistant at a law firm that she was working at. So I came back thinking I was going to start back up at the restaurant, and went into the law firm, and, just kind of took a new experience and hoped that I would learn something. And I had no idea what I really wanted to do when I graduated other than travel. So I kind of jumped on every opportunity that fell in front of me. So I was there for about 6 months, and then found the job at the chamber, and realized that the programs and what the job offered was exactly what I loved and what I had participated in during college, and just in job form for a pretty cool organization. So it kind of manifested without too much effort, to be honest, which I think is sometimes the best way things can work out. And maybe I fall on that a little bit more than trying to figure everything out. But so yeah, I started here at the chamber at the end of January of 2018. And it was just a really fast year after graduation, a lot of new experiences, a lot of questions, and for myself, for the community, how I was going to fit in the world, and even smaller into new friend groups and all of those different things. So I just kind of woke up each day after graduation and hoped that I had a new opportunity to learn, and it really did look that way. So landing at the chamber was a blessing, but also exactly what I had hoped for. And I so admire people who went to college and knew exactly what a career path looked like, and figured out all of the different things that you needed to take and pass, and how long it would be until you were in that specific job. But I didn't quite know enough. I didn't know how to choose or what to choose, because I loved my classes. I loved my peers and my professors, but none of it was a shiny bright light telling me which job that was going to be afterwards. So it was, I think, that organic timeline was understandable for me. But when I was a freshman, and even in high school, it was that the idea of having to choose or to know was so daunting. And whatever they tell you in high school is not quite what you end up experiencing at college, or at least that was my experience a little bit. There was a lot of new experiences through my college, career that were much more valuable than choosing exactly what job or title I was going towards. And I think that was, more than anything else, what I walked away with, was you can always find something new to participate in, and a new group of people to learn something from.
Is there something or things that you want to do next? Like, what do you see that you'd like to do or try, or are there things you're working on right now that you're like, hey, this is the next big thing for me?
Mm-hmm. So I actually started at the chamber as a programs coordinator. So at basically an assistant to the role I'm in now, and then have taken over that role as leadership development manager, and have a programs coordinator underneath me now. So that's a whole new learning process as well, how to be a manager and be a friend at the same time. That's, again, something that you don't learn in college, that I just learned by watching other people mostly, and trying to be a good person to this person I'm managing is basically what I'm running with. But I've been in this role probably 6 months now. So as far as future goals, I haven't given it that much thought as with career, because I do want to focus on where I'm at right now and try to absorb as much as I can and polish as much as I can while I'm in this. So I kind of have, the first year is a lot of just doing before you know, I think, in a lot of ways. And so trying to get through this first year and then look back and see what I've learned, what I want to do better for the upcoming year. And then maybe start to think about, okay, where does this lead into a different career, a different, even adapting this job that I'm in here at the chamber. I think the great thing about nonprofits, and the worst thing a lot of people will say, is that if you work at a nonprofit, you wear a lot of hats. You tend to take on a lot of different responsibilities and jobs because there's smaller crews, and there's just adapting at a nonprofit that's constant. So I do feel lucky that I don't have to choose a whole new place to go. I think there's maybe some things that I might want to take on here that I can ask, and hopefully they'll say, yeah, sure, take that on. We would love that. So, and again, going back to the community that I'm surrounded by, I meet somebody in a new business and a new career and a new job that I've never heard of almost daily. And so that's kind of cool to have this mental bank of awesome jobs that are in the community and ones that are also in other communities. So I think that's just kind of where I'm at right now, is, again, just trying to absorb it all, especially at a younger age and in my career. I don't want to make a fast decision too quickly. So the chamber is great. They always, encourage outside learning and offer us the opportunity to go to conferences and different trainings. And so there's a lot of just, I think, personal growth and career growth that end up being easily accessible where I'm at. And I think I could do that for a long time, honestly.
Well, given that you've graduated, relatively recently, it wasn't yesterday or anything, but
right.
Do you have any advice for maybe people who've recently graduated and are maybe in the same shoes you were in, saying, okay, now what? Any advice you would give them?
Well, there's definitely a little bit of a different tone to the time period that they are graduating in right now. So I can't even imagine some of the fear that comes along with that. So I think hold tight and things will get better. And there's a lot of good people working to make sure that life as we know it goes on and hopefully becomes better. The chamber is a great resource as a college graduate to just kind of find out what the community is doing, and what jobs are out there. Boise Young Professionals, specifically for graduates, is awesome to just kind of start to get a grasp on what Boise is and what it's going to be, and be involved kind of in those conversations. So as a graduate, I'm going to plug Boise Young Professionals, because I really do hope that that's a great resource for college graduates. And really, for probably any college graduate, almost all of the chambers have gone virtual over the past couple months and continued to put out content. We've done a lot of ours on Facebook, and so a lot of our videos are saved there as far as different speakers and different topics. So I'm sure it's going to be even easier to access chamber information now that we've all been forced to go a little bit more virtual and save the events that we host. So
Madison notes that students joining the workforce should recognize that they are learning more than just content when they earn a degree.
The soft skills you're learning in your college classes, how to present a paper or how to write a paper or work with a group. I think sometimes we forget what we're, the homework we have or the content we're doing. You'll forget most of that, how you do it and how you, create healthy habits and routines. That's really what you, in my experience, pay to go to college for, in a lot of ways. It's less about content and more about how you show up in the room with your professor and with your peers. And that leads directly into how you show up to work and with your coworkers and your peers there. And so more than hard skills, I think there's just a lot of soft skills that you'll realize once you enter the workforce, that those will move you forward far faster than trying to be perfect. But I think on a personal note, and this might be a bit cliche, but I really, in the middle of my 20s, I have grown and looked back on the past few years, and I'm a different person each year, and continuing to work to be a better person. And that comes with a lot of change. And so whether you are good at change or not good at change, it's going to come. So trust yourself and trust that it will all work out okay and hopefully organically. And if it doesn't, then you might have to dig in your heels and work a little bit harder. But there's a lot of great resources in Boise, and just the more you talk to people, the more you get to know what's out there and what could be right for you.
Looking back now on where you've been, what advice would you give your younger self on career, jobs?
Oh gosh, I think I would tell myself to just trust that you are good at things. Trust that the potential people see in you is not something ever to be, embarrassed by or afraid that you might ruin or, might not live up to it. I think if anything, people seeing potential in you is just an opportunity to sit them down and go, okay, how do I do this better? If this is what you see and I can't quite see it, how do you see it growing? And people, you don't have those conversations as often as I think that we should. But it's pretty easy. I mean, it really is just a phone call. And luckily my community has just grown and there's more people I can call and ask that. And somehow, whether it be my work or the work of just the world, that's what I've fallen into, is being able to turn around and go, okay, I need some help, or can you guide me a little bit? And yeah, at work or with my peers, there's a lot of support. Going back to your previous question of what advice you would give to someone, a recent graduate, I think lean into being uncomfortable. If you're too comfortable, I think that there's sometimes at this age, especially right after college, that there's some other things that you should be learning if you're that comfortable.
So Called is sponsored by loveboiseparks.org, which donates profits to support, promote, and preserve open spaces in Boise, Idaho. Use promo code SOCALLED for 10% off all your purchases at loveboiseparks.org. Our theme and transition music was composed by Roberto Cavaco. All other stylings are the sound of my voice. If you enjoyed today's episode, please let us know. Subscribe and leave us a review. So Called is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and wherever you get your podcasts.